Okay, guys, this is one cold Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee on February 8th. It's 10:05 in the morning, and we were in the low 40s last night, I think. Yeah, we were 42 is the low. Tomorrow the low is 43, and we stay in the mid 40s for a while. They're forecasting rain Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, but their probabilities are a little low. 45%, then 65, then 50. Oh, they're going for a fourth day, 50%. We just went through this with them, and they were saying that we were going to get a rain on the last couple of days that was going to make up for all the rain we have not been getting. We've had less rain in the season. This would be the early rains. Less rain than we had for 50 years, at least 50 years. So this is significant. And when we combine this with the fact that we had a war, I think 16 months now, it's still going. We just attacked Syria the other day, and we'll probably attack them again, today, tomorrow, the day after. And we have, we're attacking Hezbollah, a few days a week, and even Gaza. So the war is not over. What's happened is unique. Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis are not shooting at us, but we're attacking, Hezbollah, Hamas, and even Syria quite a bit. So it's like it turned into kind of a get out of jail free card. We attack them, they don't attack back. There's another 3 hostages supposedly being released today, which probably will be released today. And then we're going to release, I guess, about 90 of these. Got the sun in my eyes. It's sunny, actually. I got my heater running, but it didn't heat up yet. So I'll take the hood off when that happens. But this room is cold because, I used to keep my 2 missed pets in here, the officer in chief, and they're not in here anymore, so there's no heater on when I'm not here. So it's cold. I mean, if it got any colder, I could pour my water on the floor and go ice skating, Okay. Let me go into the live stream and see if we got a live stream. Today, we're going to go through the news a little bit, and then it's going to be, the vast majority is going to be Bible study. So we'll take a break pretty much from the Donald. A little bit, and then it's going to be the vast majority. All right, we got sound and picture. When people come in and call me Gramps and stuff like that, that's a sign of their character is deficient, and I get rid of them. They could still hear what I'm saying, but they're going to keep doing snide remarks, All right, let me put my posts up. And I can't talk too much when I do that, or I get typos. But we're waiting for people to come in. I get my email address up. Okay, got that done. Start with doing some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 All right, the Bible study is going to be a lot of new material for you guys. And I'm going to really do a definitive, very deep dive into who the dry bones are with lots of scriptures, and we're going to, do, counter arguments that what a lot of the church people say, and, and we're going to show why a lot of these popular arguments are not correct and stuff like that. All right, so we'll cover some news because there's stuff worth covering. Trump canceled Biden's security clearance. Probably in retaliation. Probably Biden did that to him, but I don't remember. Okay, this is big. Okay, the Arab media was reporting that America is going to give Israel the Moab bomb. The Moab bomb is 11 tons, which is 22,000 pound bombs. Rather secure in my belief that the new advanced F-15s, I think they call them IE or IA or AI, something like that, that we have a bunch of, can carry this bomb. That would be all it would carry, but they could carry it. Probably wouldn't have extra fuel tanks. We'd use refueling tankers, and we could use these to take out the nuke facilities in Iran. They would, I'm quite sure, work. You might have to send 2 or 3 of them or 4 into the same facility, probably just 2. And that would do the job. Now, a German news source reported this also yesterday. So now I'm scratching my head and starting to think this is likely real. Now, how else could these bombs be used? Well, if you drop, let's say, somewhere between 2 and 5 of them in Gaza to get rid of tunnels that the Hamas may still have there. I don't know how many tunnels they still have. I expect there's probably a few. They would destroy that, but the repercussions, the noise, the shaking, the feeling the pressure on your ears, and all of that would resonate through likely all of Gaza. I'm serious. I hear way less powerful bombs going off in Syria, and we would feel the windows would shake, the doors would shake. We heard this 20 times maybe, or many times. I don't know how many, quite a few. And we'd feel the percussion on our ears. It wouldn't hurt. We'd just be aware of it, right? You wouldn't really hear the explosion. Sometimes you would if it was very close. And these things were more than 25 miles away. So, and they were not 22,000 pound bombs. So I'm telling you, everybody in Gaza is going to hear it and feel it. Okay? And if you think that that's going to encourage them to want to leave Gaza, it probably will. But I don't see in prophecy any substantial departure this grand exodus out of Gaza that Trump wants, I don't think it's going to happen. And as I told you yesterday, he said Israel's going to finish the war and then turn Gaza over to us, and we're going to rebuild Gaza and so forth. Well, there's a few problems with that. I don't think Netanyahu can just do it. I don't know. He might have to have the Knesset approve it, but then again, I don't know why, because when they gave Gaza back, Gaza's not legally, according to the democratic government in Israel right now, wouldn't really have jurisdiction over that because it's not really part of Israel. So I think Netanyahu could just do it. I think it would take the form of, when Hamas is completely deactivated. I mean, they don't have nothing to fight with. Maybe pistols and rifles, which is nothing really. And then say, well, I'm pulling out, Trump's going to take over, and he's going to evacuate them and rebuild Gaza. And I think he could do that. But getting them to evacuate, I don't think we're ever going to see that, okay? Not the way they want to do it. They, as of yet, don't have a place to bring them that's going to work, and I don't see it, I don't see it. If Morocco says they'll take them, they're going to get backlash from all the Muslim states. I think they might have said it, but they haven't done anything. So I think this is going to be a fail. Remember, America and NATO use Ukraine to basically weaken or dismantle Russia. And they use Israel to take care of the Muslim terrorist states. We got a prayer request for, okay, this is for MN, Mike Nancy, MN, Mike Nancy, MN. The prayer is that this person reconciles with the father, and with her father and also her husband, and walks with the Lord. Big request. But we got a big God. Mike Nancy MN. Prayer request is to reconcile with her father and her husband and walk with the Lord. Okay. Let me try to take this down so I don't repeat it. Okay. Now this is a very, very unusual event we're seeing here. Lebanon, not the official army of Lebanon, is fighting actively with Syria. The Syria side is the new government, HTS. They're using their military, their army, to fight cross-border at, it's not even just Hezbollah, it's families in Lebanon. I imagine that Hezbollah, I believe Hezbollah is involved in this too. And they're using artillery, guns, all sorts of stuff to fight with each other. And there's been deaths and injuries, and it's gone for 2 days so far. Today would be the third day, I believe. So this is weird. The problem is there's people in Lebanon that were part of Assad, or they were Alawites, which are being persecuted drastically in Syria. Alawites is a sect of Islam, very small one. And they're very worried about their relatives in Syria because they're getting persecuted. And that's, in a nutshell, what's going on. So what the Israelis would say about these Hezbollah type and other types there in Lebanon fighting with Syria, what they like to say is, I wish them great success in their, I wish both of them great success in their endeavors. That's what the Israelis like to say. All right. They're using not just artillery, but anti-tank missiles, which I believe the people in Lebanon got from Hezbollah. So Hezbollah is probably in on it. Hezbollah hates HTS. So we're seeing something very unusual going on. And Israel is certainly not going to say a word about it. They don't mind. I haven't heard Trump, Bellyache, or the UN or anybody yet. Let's see what happens. Trump passed a executive order for his government to investigate all these federal gun regulations that were done in the name of safety and other things. And he wants to make sure the Second Amendment is being enforced in general. So this is not yet started. It was just the executive order, so we got to wait and see how this goes. But I think it's going to go. There was an unusual court decision. One of the federal courts, I believe, I think it was a federal court, said that a gun silencer is not a firearm. In other words, you could take a silencer, all you could do with it is throw it at somebody or hit them over the head with it. You know, it's not a firearm. And they said ATF has no jurisdiction over it. Okay, they're kind of saying it's like a rifle sight. They don't have, you want to buy a rifle sight, you go into a sporting goods store, you buy a rifle sight. You know, you don't have to show any ID, you pay, you walk out, that's it. And they're trying to say a silencer should be like that. What it is now is a class 3 weapon. You got to apply, you got to get fingerprints, pictures, a lot of money. You got to get your local sheriff to authorize it, I believe. You know, stuff like this, right? And that usually takes about 6 months, and then you get it, and then you can't transport it across the state line without getting permission from the ATF. And I don't know, I think there's provisions they could come into your house and inspect it and this and that. You can take it out to the range with you and stuff like that. If you were walking around the streets with a pistol with a silencer, many police departments in the country would pull you in for further investigation, and minimally it was something. Well, it's illegal. I think they would deem it illegal in some jurisdictions. I'm not sure. It varies from city and county and state to all the others, you know. But it would not be a good idea. The people that, what the big argument for with the suppressors is, I can go to the range and shoot my gun without having to wear all this hard, you know, pain in the neck, ear suppress, you know, sound suppressors in my ear and stuff like that, or over my ears. The truth about suppressors, which is what a silencer's called officially, a suppressor, is for the most part, they're not that effective. Now, I have seen, and I believe I fired many years ago, I'm not sure, I think I fired it, a FN military rifle that was in caliber .308, which is very loud, like a 30-06. They're very similar, and you could take the projectile part of the 30-06 ammo and load it into the casing for a .308, and it shoots fine. I've had those. They work. So, the noise that came out. Now, this suppressor was probably 15 or 18 inches, and it was probably about that thick, maybe even thicker. It was a big thing. They call them a can. It was a big one. And what we heard when I fired it, and when I was listening to it getting fired, is you heard nothing really. They call it a cat's sneeze when it works well, because it's very soft. And all you heard was the slide mechanism moving in the gun, which you practically never hear when you're shooting it without a suppressor, because the sound of the bullet suppresses the sound of the slide. So you got to contend with the sound of the slide, but people wouldn't really pay attention to that unless it was somebody that had a lot of gun experience with silencers. They'd recognize it. All right, so if you want to suppress a rifle, you need a great big suppressor. Some are 18 inches, and they do work, and they are very effective. Okay? Now we get down to handcuffs. If you want to put a little suppressor, like probably 4 inches or something, even 3, I don't know what, on a 22 long rifle pistol, it's going to suppress it quite a bit. Okay? It really will. If you want to talk about revolvers, they don't suppress that well. They do get a lot quieter, but they're still making noise because there's a tiny gap between the cylinder where the cartridge is seated and the barrel, and the noise gets out, but not all the noise. And, it does tend to work. But if you're using a semi-auto, not any of these magnums that are going to scream at, very high velocities, but, maybe just basic 9mm or a 380 or something like that. And you're not going to get too far with a 3, 4, 5-inch suppressor. You got to get up into probably 7 or 8 inches to get it. Then you're going to get it very, very quiet. Now, what the military has done in the past is they put a large suppressor, which I would say is about 8 inches, on a 45 Heckler and Koch, big 45 semi-automatic, and they modified the thing so you can flip a little switch and a metal piece goes into a groove cut in the slide that stops the slide from sliding around. So if you were a special forces guy and you were trying to board a ship at night and you climbed up on the ship and you saw there was a guard and you took that gun out and with the silencer and shot him, the bullet's still going to have enough velocity to probably knock the guy out or kill him. Silencers shave velocity off the gun. And they're not going to hear it. The other guards on the deck of the boat won't hear it. And the slide's not going to slide back, so nobody's going to know from nothing. Unless the guy falls down and drops his gun and his helmet and it makes a lot of noise or something like that. So, if you wanted to carry a suppressor, if they, now this is the local federal court for a district, so the other parts of the country aren't going to get themselves aligned with this, and I don't know what the Trump position of this will be, but if you theoretically could, if they delegalize this, which apparently they already did, I don't think it stops the state laws against silencers. States still have the right to make it illegal, so it's not going to, you're going to have to find certain states that are also going to open it up. So the federal government could say, you can buy a machine gun, okay, but you can get a class 3 license technically to buy a machine gun, and pay the tax stamp, which is a lot of money, and weight, and pictures, and fingerprints, and sheriff's letter. It's okay for this guy to have it, and all of that stuff, right? But the ATF won't approve it because your state says you can't have it even with the federal license. So I think there's maybe 10 states in America or something like that that let you have a machine gun. Probably the same with the silencer. But theoretically, if the Trump administration makes this legal, you could take a pistol and you could put a silencer on it, which is going to be, let's figure, at least 6 inches to get effective, and it's going to be probably 2 inches thick or 1.5 inches or something like that. You're going to be able to quiet your gun down sufficiently. But let's say you were in a mall parking lot at 7 o'clock on Thursday night, and you were parked maybe 25 cars away from the entrance, or 40 cars, and some characters came up to you and were going to rob you, and you drew your gun and shot them. Well, would you be able to do that and nobody would detect it? It would depend on to be truthful, depend on the background noise in the parking lot. If there's a lot of cars moving around and all kinds of noise, nobody would detect it. Where if you didn't have a silencer and you shot a 9mm or something, they'd know about it, right? Also, it's probably going to suppress the muzzle flash, so nobody's going to see the flash. So it could be somebody would say, well, guy came at me with a knife, wanted to rob me, I put 2 in his chest. Shoot, I'm not going to go call the police and have to, report it and hire a lawyer for $15,000 or $25,000. I'll just walk away. Would that start happening more? Oh, a lot more. If there was something that happened on a street around apartment buildings or private houses and you shot somebody, would the people in the houses hear it or be concerned? Probably not. Probably not at all. It wouldn't register, So that could change the scope of things. Also, Trump loosening up firearms would also be an anti-terrorist measure. Okay, America has, 6 or 8 or 10 states where getting a carry concealed weapons permit so you can bear arms outside your house is very hard. So criminals like to go to places like that, like California is one, New York, New Jersey is others, because the chances of them getting shot by their victims is, reduced drastically. They don't want to go to a place like Florida where, the old lady and the old man has a pistol when they go to the store at night, because, these are going to be short-range encounters, not, 50-foot shots. And the old man or the old woman or the cripple takes a gun and just plugs the guy. Once the guy presents a weapon and starts with, give me your money, give me your purse, give me your wallet, boom, boom, boom. And, so would they be more prone to just walk away in a supermarket parking lot if nobody heard it? Well, if there's people walking around and they see it, you can't do that. I don't know what will happen, but would it be a threat to the public? In other words, crooks would put a silencer on the gun when they break into a house or something, and I don't think so. But the important thing to understand is they take a pistol and they make the pistol very large. You can't just usually slide it on there. They don't work that way. You got to screw them in. You got to go, like 10 turns usually. It's a long threaded barrel. And you can't put a silencer on a gun where the barrel was not threaded to receive it. It won't work, you know. People do other things. They put a gun in a paper bag and then shoot somebody while the gun's in a paper bag. Does that suppress it? Sort of, yeah. If you're using a 22, yeah. You know, the old thing I think the Israelis were using in the 60s and maybe 70s is they would use a 22. Other countries, other, you know, spy agents would use this. You'd get a 22 with, you know, 10 or 12 rounds in it, and you just no silencer, no nothing. You just walk up to your target. This is assassination. You walk up to your target and you go boom, 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 boom. You know, you put 5 or 6 rounds in the person, they're gonna die. Okay, they're gonna expire if you just hit the torso 5 or 6 times. They're gonna, you know, if you shot them and they were right outside the emergency room in the hospital, they're probably still gonna die because there's going to be a lot of internal bleeding, external bleeding. You're going to hit organs most likely, you know. So they would do that because if they started with, you know, 9 millimeters, the noise is tremendously higher. Another trick is people would buy a 22 long rifle. They'd buy a 22 bolt action rifle with and in 22 long rifle caliber, and they would get a barrel of 34 inches or 32 or as long as they can get. And remarkably, when you shoot that gun through a very long barrel, it works like similar to a silencer. The mechanisms of it, you know, the physics, the law of physics, so to speak, as they call it, is not applicable. It's a different process, but because the barrel is so long with the gases, very little noise get out, and they call that a cat's sneeze. And they're really rather quiet. They really are. So people could go out at night like that and hunt when they're not allowed to hunt at night, and the authorities are probably not going to hear the rifle, and the muzzle flash is going to be non-existent with a barrel that long. But you're working with a very, very small gun, a 22 long rifle. So enough on that. Okay. So it's, I think, rather interesting that Trump's trying to, you know, revamp the gun laws across the board. And I believe he'll start changing them. Will he change the laws for machine guns? Well, the Second Amendment doesn't block machine guns. They really don't want people hunting with machine guns because it changes it from a sport to free food. Because there's not much skill needed. You know, if you got like a 308 in full auto, you know, you could shoot a burst of, you know, 4, 5, 6 rounds at your target game animal, and you're probably going to get a good hit, you know. So the war is going to start again. That's for sure. And the Lebanon, you know, Hezbollah war, I'm sure is going to start again, and I'm pretty sure the Houthi fighting will start again too. Maybe we'll go use those bunker buster bombs in Lebanon, those Moab bombs. I don't know. I don't know how many Trump has given us. He could give us 10. He could give us 80. I have no idea what it is. Israel's buying weapons like they're going out of style from America. They're buying a lot of bombs now and SDAMs, which is a kit you put on a bomb that's not super surgical precision, and you make it that way. we'll see what happens. Israel's buying more jets, but that stuff takes a long time to arrive. Okay. So, let me check the live stream and then we'll get started. Do I think that Trump can debank the cartels? In other words, mess with the cartels and disable them? Well, what he's looking for now is Mexico is putting 10,000 soldiers on their border to stop activity that's illegal going into America. And I don't believe it's going to be that effective, but let's see. That's Trump's first step. And he's also trying to keep his military and ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, on the border there and rebuilding the wall. He's already been doing that for days. And try to curtail it from both directions. Is it possible he might do targeted strikes in Mexico against the cartels? Yes. What's Mexico going to do about it? That's the issue. But I think he's giving Mexico a chance to cut it down. I don't think they'll be able to. I don't think they want to. Now, I always welcome you guys writing me and telling me how I'm doing, or if you want to ask questions and stuff, that's good too. Okay, so where do we start? Let's start in Zechariah 9. Now, the stuff I'm going to talk about and show you is sort of talked about by some of the church figures, but they never put the pieces together for you. So we're in Zechariah 9, verse 11. Okay. As for thee also by the blood of the covenant. Well, when the men get circumcised, there's blood, right? That's one explanation, right? I have sent forth. See, there's no blood in the meat that's offered. They have a salt covenant. They put salt on the meat and they get the blood out. Okay. That's in the scriptures, the salt covenant. I have sent forth thy prisoners out of the pit wherein is no water. Now, the rabbis, or some of them, are starting to say that this was the hostages being released from Gaza. I think I did this already yesterday, but I'll quickly debunk it, okay? They're saying that the tunnels had no water, so it's a pit without water. Well, they were all living in the tunnels, the Hamas and stuff, and they did have hostages in the tunnels for some of the time. But they were also living in houses where they could shower, use a toilet, stuff like that, right? Drink water, So let's not, go too deep into this as if it's real. It's a joke, okay? The only way they're going to sell that is with witchcraft and sorcery. It's not real. They didn't spend all the time in the tunnels. And the guys in the tunnels had bottles of water. So when they got thirsty, they drank out of the bottle like I do. And you do. Okay? Or they pour it in a glass, whatever, right? So right away, that's silly thinking. And many, many, many of the hostages, if not all, had been plagued from talking to the released ones. They spent time in the apartments and houses of the Gaza civilians, the so-called nice people. And they were, I'm sure, sexually abused extensively, perhaps daily, multiple times a day. I don't know what the deal was. They also were used as servants, so that's bondage labor, and they were fed crappy food. Okay? So it was really against international law what they did, but nobody's doing anything. You're not going to hear the International Criminal Court come up with anything, or the ICJ. First of all, how would they enforce it? Send the UN army in? I mean, it's nonsense, okay? So this is not the hostages in Gaza. That's something you get from a 9-year-old child, maybe, Turn you to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. The stronghold is redeemed Israel. Even today do I declare that I will render double unto thee. That's the double reward we get when we hit redemption, because we had a double punishment for the 2,000 years. Okay, it says, it goes further. When I have bent Judah for me, filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, that made thee like the sword of a mighty man. And we read that stuff in Zechariah 12 with the feeble fighting like David, and the house of David fighting like the angel of the Lord, which would be the glory God of Israel, Michael. And Jehovah shall be seen over them, and his arrows shall go forth as the light. But the word for arrow is a thunderbolt, really. So it's kind of like lightning related. Shall go forth as lightning, and Adonai Jehovah shall blow the trumpet, and go with whirlwinds to the south, and will subdue with sling stones and stuff like that. This is us with the everlasting life, where the child shall die at 100, and even the children get tired from running, but you won't get tired. This is different. Probably Solomon, when the Spirit, not Solomon, I gotta think of the guy's name, one of the judges, well, I'll think of it. He tied the tails of the foxes together. He was tormenting the Gazans. Why can't I remember his name? I don't remember. He was betrayed by that woman. He told her that he can't cut his hair. Well, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, that's just a guess. I don't have scripture support for that. I'm just taking a shot at that one, Okay, let's go on. So we read here in, Zechariah 9, and this happens, before this, we read what he's doing to Gaza, taking the blood out of their mouth and stuff like that. And the ones that remain, it says, he that remaineth, even he shall be for our God. He shall be as a judge in Judah, and Ekron as a Jebusite. So he's saying they've been converted to serving the Lord. So he's talking about the ones that remain. So maybe others did leave. So we may see some leave Gaza. I don't know. Or to remain could mean those that are still alive. And we say, when I encamp about my house, that's the glory of God of Israel in the house, like a wall of fire around it. Okay, so those are scriptures. Then it says, rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh. Well, that already was fulfilled. And And he shall speak peace unto the heathen. That's when they beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. As for thee, also speaking to Israel, not the church, by the blood of thy covenant I have sent forth thy prisoners out of the pit wherein is no water. Okay. So we need to focus on the pit with no water for now. So I'm trying to kind of go into this backwards in a way from when I've done it in the past. So we go to Luke 16. We're in verse 19, Luke 16:19. There was a certain rich man, okay? Remember, it's rather difficult for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven. Not impossible, but they tend to get rather arrogant, cocky, independent, and rely on their wealth. You know, they don't turn to the Lord. You know, when the bills come every month, they just write the checks. That's it. Or give them the credit card. You know, they don't care what the bills are. They don't sit there and say, "Oh, I got a big electric bill." Hey, sign. They don't care. Right, okay. Okay. There was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day. So he's living in luxury. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate. Okay, so he probably couldn't walk because he was laid there, so people would carry him as a mitzvah, a good deed, so to speak. A mitzvah means a good deed. It also means the commandments of the law. But they were being nice to the crippled guy, which is basically following the law. And they put him at the gate of the rich guy, and he was full of sores. And desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table, probably the leftovers, I guess, you know. Maybe they just scraped the stuff off the floor, I don't know. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his wounds, his sores. He probably couldn't fight them off. They knew he was weak. And it came to pass that, you know, they wanted the blood, you know, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. So now you know how you get there. The angels take you. When you die, they take your spirit. Okay, so, and he got ahead. The rich man also died. Samson was the guy. That's it. Samson. I said Solomon. It threw me off. Samson was the guy. Samson and Delilah, right? The rich man died and was buried. Nobody came and took him to Abraham's bosom, but let's continue. They take him to a different place. And in hell, which in the Hebrew would be Sheol, that's down in the earth. He lift up his eyes, being in torments. Now, what is the word for torments? Well, this is Greek, so it's almost a waste to look it up. Now, we'll go with torments. In torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. So that's what's referred to as paradise, Abraham's bosom. Okay? So you're not in the heaven with Father God Jehovah, but you're in a paradise. It's really a nice place. Okay? And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me. I doubt Abraham had a sign that said, a big neon sign that said Father Abraham with an arrow pointed down to where he was sitting. I don't think so. Some reason he knew it was Abraham. Father Abraham, have mercy on me and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. He's not in the lake of fire because there's a chasm. He sees Abraham's bosom. This is the lake of fire is not now. Okay, so he sees Abraham and he recognizes Lazarus, and Lazarus was a beggar, so he still thought he could command Lazarus or use Lazarus like a servant. He didn't talk to Lazarus, he talked to Abraham. So this is your pit where there is no water. Send Lazarus to take the tip of his finger, put it in water, put a drop on his tongue. There's no water there, and it's hot as all get up. What is, well, I can't with the Greek, keep checking the word meanings. It's nonsense. Okay. But I could check the Hebrew, what the word for flame is. Let's try that from the Hebrew New Testament. I use the Salkinson version. Wait a second, I go back. All right. Well, I guess we'll go with that translation. It's not going to be that bad of a translation. Okay. I wanted to see if it said fire. It didn't. So basically, we got the idea. Anyway, but Abraham said, what am I doing here? But Abraham said, son, remember that, so this rich guy was Jewish, obviously. Remember that thou in thy lifetime received thy good things. Receiveth thy good things. So you got good stuff during your life. And likewise, Lazarus, evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And Abraham knew he was saying it to one of his sons, so to speak, right? And beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed. Gulf word would be let's see what Strong's refers to it as. If I even got, yeah. It's a chasm. So maybe a valley or a chasm or something like that. Okay. A great chasm fixed so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. Then he said, I pray thee, therefore, Father, speaking to Abraham, that thou would send him back to sending Lazarus as if he's a servant. He hasn't woken up and figured out the new order of things. Would send him to my father's house, for I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come into this place of torment. Abraham saith unto him, they have Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. And he said, nay, Father Abraham, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. And he said unto him, if they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. Referencing Yeshua, obviously. Okay, now let's cut wood. We'll go to Ezekiel 37. We're just going to focus on the first half, really. Verse 1, Ezekiel 37:1. The hand of Jehovah was upon me, Ezekiel is the me here, and carried me out in the spirit of Jehovah, and set me down in the midst of the valley. Now, what is this valley word here? Because, let's see what Strong's uses for English. Strong says a wide level valley between mountains. Okay, so what was going on with the separation between Abraham's bosom and the bad place? There was a chasm you can't cross. So what likely happened is when they walked to the edge of this elevated piece of land that they were on, they probably looked down miles and nobody could climb down. It was probably a sheer rock face or something. Nobody could climb down, cross the bottom and come up and go into Abraham's bosom. It was too difficult. Nobody could do it. Okay, so we got a very good match here, the midst of this valley, which was full of bones. Now, the word for bones is 6106. At some. And what is Strong used for English on this? Body or bone. So let's go with the bone. And cause, maybe it's not a bone, maybe it's a body. Let's explore. And cause me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley. And lo, maybe this description I had just wasn't right. Let's see. they're in the valley. Now the valley word. See, I'm trying to picture this. If they were in a valley surrounded by mountains, here's the valley. How would they see Abraham's bosom? So I think that maybe they're on a high mountain here. Abraham's place is on a high mountain, and there's this big valley in there. And the translation's just not that great. He set me down in the midst of the valley. So how does this work? Let's think. If he was in the bottom of this chasm, how would he see Abraham's bosom? See, this is odd, isn't it? Let's think. Well, maybe it's just there in the valley here, and Abraham's over here, and there's a big drop off. I guess that's probably the only explanation for stopping him from the crossover. So I'm in verse 2. It caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, there were very many in the open valley. Or I don't know what we're looking at here. Maybe we're saying they're living up here down in the valley of the bones. They were very dry. And he said unto me, maybe, I don't get this yet, okay? In terms of the physical layout of the place, it's hard for me to grasp it. There has to be a separation between the bad place and Abraham's bosom where you could see across, as I'm trying to reason it, right? So that's the only explanation I could get. Okay. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Adonai Jehovah, thou knowest. And he said unto me, Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O you dry bones, hear the word of Jehovah. The bones are dry because they're in the pit where there is no water. And it's hot. That's why the bones are dry. Thus saith Adonai Jehovah unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. The word for breath is ruach, which can mean wind or spirit. So we got to watch these translations carefully. It can mean breath, it can mean wind, it can mean the spirit. Okay? Ruach HaKodesh is spirit, the Holy Spirit. All right, so let's go. Thus saith Adonai Jehovah unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. This is predicting into the future, isn't it? Well, the way the English is writing it, but what it's saying in the Hebrew is I, ani, then it says ruach, so it's saying I, ruach. Then it says bo, which means come, not enter. So I, ruach, bo, and then they add in all these words, unto you and you shall live. They put 6 words in to one word. So this is really like the Living Bible. I'm talking about the King James, okay? It's not an accurate translation. None of these English translations are. The Living Bible is disgusting. I wouldn't call it a Bible. It's chaya, to live. So he's saying, Ani I, Ruach, Bo, come, Chaya. So let's break it down. He's saying, I, Spirit, come, life. So he's talking about giving them the Spirit, the Ruach, that's going to give them life. Or it could say breath too. You could be one or the other so far, right? It's actually going to prove to be both. Okay. The spoiler alert. All right. Verse 6. And I will lay sinews. I would say that's like cartilage stuff. I'm not big with anatomy, but sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you. So they don't have a spiritual body thing going on right now. Flesh, sinews, cartilage, no. Flesh and blood shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So this is something different going on here. Something rather unique. And bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin. So now we got flesh and we got skin. And put breath in you. Well, that's Ruach again. And you shall live. So the breath here could be the breath, or it could be the Ruach, the Spirit. And you shall live. And that's the Chaya word. And you shall know that it's saying you shall know. Is that maybe? Yoda. Yo. Okay, that's an accurate translation. So it doesn't say you shall know. It says Yoda, you'll know. See, Hebrew doesn't go into English easily. Know that, we could say, you could say that. Ani, Jehovah, that I am Jehovah. Okay? So I prophesied. See, to make it make sense in the English, they add words, but they take advantage of that and they twist it throughout the whole Bible. Every chapter is it. All the English Bibles are that way. They all copy the King James, basically, which copied the Wycliffe, and the other old Bibles, Tyndale and all that. So I prophesied as I was commanded. And because God doesn't do anything unless he reveals it first through the prophets. And I say, as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to bone. So the word probably really does mean bone, not flesh or body, And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no Ruach, no breath in them. So maybe the other time it was breath, now it's Ruach, or it's breath here. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind. And that's the same word as Ruach. So it's saying, prophesy unto the Ruach, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, Ruach, thus saith Adonai Jehovah, come, and let's check the meaning. Yeah, it's bow, it's come, from the four winds. Let's see, the word for four should be arba. It is. And Ruach. So when it's talking about the four Ruach, this is winds, not breath, not spirit. O Ruach, you say so breath, but it's O Ruach. It's just saying Ruach in Hebrew. Breathe upon these slain that they may live. So he's telling the Spirit to breathe, and let's see how strong throws this into English. Puff. See, it says Yeshua puts the puff of life in everything. So I believe that this is the puff of life. More so the breathe type thing than the Holy Spirit type thing, I think. Upon these slain. So it says upon these for one Hebrew word, which means these. And the word for slain is harag. Now, the word from Strong's means, let's see what he calls it. The root means to smite with deadly intent, to destroy out of hand, kill, murder, put to death, make, slaughter, slay, surely. Well, their slain word is probably pretty decent. It doesn't leave a lot of room open for people that just expired of old age, but not sure on that one yet, but that they may live. So does this exclude people that die of what the world calls natural causes? That's a good question, isn't it? Let's see if I can get more insight. I think it's indeterminate. It can mean to be killed, and it doesn't say they were killed by the sword, or by the flame, or had their head cut off. So it could just mean the dead in general. I'm not sure. I'm leaning maybe towards it might mean just martyrs or people died in wars, but I don't know. It doesn't. It's hard to get to the fine details. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the Ruach came into them, and they lived. Now, for one word, they're saying, into them, and they lived. 5 words for one Hebrew word, which is chaya. A lot of Hebrew people or Jewish people wear a thing which has 2 Hebrew characters, the chet and the yud, and chai, means life. And they wear that, And they're referencing these type of scriptures, not specifically only this, but in general, that they may live. I prophesied as he commanded, and the breath came into them, and they lived. And then it says, and stood up. Okay, the stood up word is probably the stood up word, stand, upon their feet, and exceeding. Let's dig into that word. It's miod. It means a lot, like an abundance, lots of stuff. Okay, so it's a large amount. Miod, and then it says gadol, so it's saying large, great. Okay, so there's a lot of them. That's very important to understand. And then they're called an army, Kail. Which could mean an army and a force of men Probably the army is, or the hosts or something like that is probably your best translation on this. Is my take. Doing the best I can. I might be wrong, but that's probably what it means. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house. Okay, let's go into the Hebrew call, which means all. Bite, so it's all house Yisrael, all the house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried and our hope is cut off. Is that tikva? Yeah, tikva means hope. Ha tikva, the famous song, means the hope. And what are they hoping for? The resurrection and eternal life. You know? And our hope is lost. We are cut off. Now, cut off, it could mean divided for our sins, for our parts. But there's no Hebrew word for our parts. They put 3 words in there that don't exist in the Hebrew. How about that? So it's saying, tikva is lost, and then saying they're cut off from the living, probably, I guess. And then they add in the word for our parts. What the heck are they doing? It's not in the text. See, this is like that Living Bible where the guy, didn't make a real translation. He just told the Bible stories for his children when he wrote it, and they were all twisted. Therefore prophesy and say unto them. But it doesn't say them. It says prophesy and medaber. No. Amir. Yeah, okay. Instead of speak, it's like say or something like that. Okay. Say, and then the word unto. Unto or upon. They add the word them. Thus saith Adonai Yehovah, behold. You see, behold is not the right word, really. There's that old song they sing, Hine Yeshua HaMelech Yisrael. Here comes. One day Beulah was running down ran out and jumped the fence, was running. I started screaming, Beulah, Beulah, Beulah. One of the neighbors points, Beulah's running towards me, and points and says, Hine, Hine. See, it's here comes. Okay? And they say, behold. Maybe. You could put it in there, but I'd use the English here comes if I was doing it. So it's saying, Adonai Yehovah, here comes. Let's try it with that. Oh, my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. Now, is this when the end of the end, after the millennium is over, and the graves open and the dead come up and they go up to heaven? No, because Jehovah's bringing them down from heaven. Those are their spirits. They apparently join with their bodies and go up to heaven. So it's not that, okay? Because these people's spirits are in Sheol, the pit. They're not in heaven. So it's not that. So behold, O my people, well, that's Israel. It's just saying, behold, or here comes people, ani, open your graves, sepulchres or tombs, graves or the thing you were buried in or something like that, okay? And and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Yisrael. So a lot of these church knuckleheads run around teaching that the dry bones are Israel, which is in a dry state now because they don't know Yeshua, turning them to Yeshua. But this is idiotic. This is on a second grade level or kindergarten, because he brings them into Israel. So if you haven't figured it out, the Israelis looking at Israel are already in Israel. See, they sell this to people with witchcraft spells and enchantments. It's the only way people believe this garbage. All right. And now we're in verse 18. And you shall know that, it's saying, Ani Yehovah. I guess if you put it in English, you would say the way they put it, I am Jehovah. When I have opened your grave. Now, when is Israel, the living Israelis, going to know that, Jehovah is Jehovah? When Yeshua appears in the clouds, seated on the right hand of power, which is Father God Jehovah, and they receive everlasting life. Now, does it make sense to you that this is going to happen at the same time? It does to me, because he's dealing with both of them nicely at the same time, because this is redemption of Israel, the nation born in a day. Basically, the dry bones are getting a second chance. The earth got a punishment for 2,000 years, and they're in the pit for however long that was. It could be longer. And they are coming back, and they're getting a second chance with a flesh body. Everlasting life, yes, I believe that. But they're not they don't have an immortal spiritual body at this point. So they're having to prove themselves. God's giving them round 2. Okay, come back to Israel. Here's your body. You got everlasting life. If you're going to serve me for the 70 years, you're going to be in New Jerusalem where there is no death. And then from there, you'll be up in heaven. So I'm giving you a second chance now, because you had a bad punishment. And God's promises are without repentance. And all Israel shall be saved. All Israel shall be saved. Okay. And that includes the non-Israelite born that are in Yeshua. I cannot imagine a valid argument that the church is not, the real believers are not in Israel, that they're in something called the church, which is, how can you make that case? Does it say all Israel and the churches shall be saved? It's absurd, And you shall know that I am Ani Yehovah when I have opened your graves. And then he says, oh my people, and brought you up out of your graves. What is the brought you up business from? Well, Sheol is down in the earth. Come up. Duh. Verse 14. And shall put my Ruach in you. This is the Holy Spirit, I believe, and I know it happens both, okay? And shall put my spirit in you, and then we get the Kaya word. Okay, I'll show you in Hosea 6:2, the same word is there. When our punishment is over, we get the Kaya, which is the appearing of the sign of the Son of Man in the clouds, right? The sign of the Son of Man in the clouds. Every eye shall see him. He shall appear like lightning from the east to the west, seated on the right hand of power. Okay, all of those scriptures. Now, I know the church doesn't differentiate between the appearing and Yeshua coming down to earth. They confuse them. And you shall, Kaya, live. And you got to read the next part very carefully. And I shall place, that word should be Natan. different word. It's a Hebrew word, a Yiddish word, nachas, but that's not it. Rest. So he's not placing there, and I shall place. They use 4 words for one. It's rest. So it's saying, you shall live, rest, you, and that word is, it's not you. What the translations are so crappy. It's rest upon or on, okay? It's on or upon. You take your pick. I guess about the same thing. The English word on and upon are really close, almost the same, right? So I lost my place. Open your graves and brought you up out of your graves, and I'll put my spirit in you, and you shall chaya, live, and I shall rest upon your own land, that's Israel. Then shall you know that I, Jehovah, have spoken it and performed it, saith the Lord. They know about this prophecy. The churches, they're confused. The Israelis know it. I'm going to take a quick break and come back and we'll keep digging. See, when we get redeemed, God says we're all going to speak the Hebrew, the old Hebrew, the real Hebrew that the Bible's written in. And we're going to not be using these stupid English translations, which are stupid, all of them. They're dumbbell. They give you it's like watching TV in black and white, but we'll get it in color. Next time I do a broadcast, I'm going to stop in here before and put the heater on. It's still cold. I'm putting my hand on the heater to warm it up. So they're going to know that this prophecy was spoken by Jehovah and fulfilled by Jehovah. Okay? That's what that ending is. The next verse, it serves to set the stage for the timing of this. The word of Jehovah came again unto me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take the one stick. It's his saying he's going to take the two sticks and put them in one hand, which is Judah and Israel, the two houses, and they become one called Israel. I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, that's the 10 tribes, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and I will put them with him, even the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand. Now, where would you rather be than in the hand of Jehovah? Name one place. Monaco, Nassau, Hong Kong. Come on, there is no place. It's the best place. Duh, it's the best. And the sticks thereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes, and say unto them, thus saith Adonai Jehovah, behold, I will take the children of Israel, the 10 tribes, from among the heathen. That's the next great exodus. These are the lost tribes. Whither they be gone, they were divorced, and will gather them on every side, that's from all over the place, and bring the world, and bring them into their own land. That's not America, that's Israel. And I will make them one nation in the Haaretz, in the land, one nation, which is in the land of Israel, upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. That's Yeshua in reality, right? And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms. Yeshua is the king, and then when they have redemption, they'll realize it, although he's not on earth. And in the interim period, we have the anointed prince in the temple, as per Ezekiel 45, from the house of David. Anointed means he's going to be something special. I know nothing about him. I know he's in Israel. I'm quite certain he's an Israelite. He's in Israel from the line of David. But that's where my information stops. So you know as much as I do. Shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. Neither, so that's not the church. I mean, come on, Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So we're not going to need the red heifers in the water with the red heifer ashes, are we? No, we're not. So all this nonsense, they got the red heifers, it's the end of the world, give me 10% to my church. That's not realistic, right? They have sinned, and wait a minute, I lost my chapter here. That's when you touch the iPad in the wrong place, you get this result. All right, let me find this again. Sorry about that. All right, I don't know where and one king shall be a king to them. I'm in verse 22 of Ezekiel 37. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. So that's never going to happen again. Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them. That's Yasha. Yeah, it's Yasha. It's salvation them is what it really should say. But if you say I will salvation them in English, it's like you know. But if you say I will save, it's smoother. But it's not quite accurate. You know, you could get saved out of a battle by the Lord, but that didn't give you salvation. Got it? Okay, so it's not the greatest way to translate. Yasha, salvation them out of all their dwelling places. So that's the places they were living. So it doesn't say, I will save them, take them to Israel, and then Yasha or salvation them. They're going to salvation them, and then they say, it's saying, okay, they're so bad with the translations. All right. Pesha transgression. Okay. Then it says, but I will save. 4 words. It doesn't, it's saying salvation. It says transgressions. Then it says salvation. Then they say them out of all. Okay. And what is it really saying? It's using the word from, mean, from all. Okay, so it's saying from all, not so bad of a job here. Okay, so it's saying salvation from all. Then it has the dwelling places wherein they have sinned and will cleanse them. Well, it's obviously Jehovah cleansing them. So shall they be my people. In the word, that's people. And then it says, Ani Haya, yeah, to be, I be, or to be, I will be, I guess is decent. Their Elohim, their God. And David, my servant, shall be king. The word for king is Melech, and that's referencing David shall never lack a man to be on the throne. So Yeshua is descended from David, from Jesse, which was David's father. Be king over them, and they, I can't fix every translation here, would be here for days, you know. And them, and they all, that's one word, call, all to be one. Not all, yeah, all shall have, okay. One should be a chad. I'm just afraid they're twisting. No, they got it. They'll have one, okay, one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments. Mishpat. Mitzvah is to do the commandment. Mishpat is a judgment for not doing it. Shall have one shepherd over them and walk in my judgment. So they gotta not just follow the law, you've got to observe the punishments for those that don't. Okay? That's what the judgments mean. And observe my statutes. Ordinances. Yeah, I go for that. And do them. Okay? And they shall dwell in the land, Haaretz, that I have given unto Yaakov my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children, forever. Remember the forever, please. And my servant David is really how you say it in Hebrew, shall be their prince forever. Uh, the, David shall never lack a man to sit on the throne. You got to get that. The anointed prince dies. David died. It's elected unto man to die only once. It's not a literal, actual resurrection in King David, okay? And he's called the prince. He's not called the king, the anointed prince. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace, shalom, with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant, like everlasting life. Oh, you got it. With them, and I will place them. That's the Natan word, right? Yeah. I will place them, multiply them. I think that means get a tractor trailer full of diapers, probably, or something like that. And will set my sanctuary, well, that's the temple, Mikdash. It's a holy place. In the midst of them, that's Jerusalem forevermore. The temple doesn't leave. In Gog and Magog, the temple gets defiled. They cleanse it. They don't rebuild it. That's in Daniel 8, maybe verse 23. I got so many verses in my head. I usually do good with that. But I did forget Samson's name. I must be getting, I don't know. Maybe I'm tired. I'm just doing a lot of work this morning. Okay. In the midst of them forevermore. Okay. So God places Natan, them in Israel. And he also Natans and places the temple. This is the temple coming down from heaven. Not New Jerusalem, preceding New Jerusalem. Ezekiel's temple, it's called by people. Not the Bible, but we call it that, just so people get the idea. My tabernacle, that's the Mishkan, the actual tabernacle, shall be with them, also shall be with them, okay? I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And the Goyim shall know that I, Jehovah, do sanctify. That's not correctly translated. It's Kadosh. Kadosh Kadashim. Kadashim is the plural of Kadosh, so it means holiest the holy. So it's, I will sanctify them is really saying, Ani Jehovah Kadosh, holy, Israel. Makes Israel holy. Rise, shine, your light has come. Remember when Moses was on Mount Sinai with the glory of God of Israel, and he came down, he was glowing or shining, emanating forth light, and they had to put a veil over him, and the veil comes off, and we shine like Moses, which happens at the appearing of the Son of Man. So Kadosh, holy Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. So the heathen know that God made Israel holy when the sanctuary is there. Now, if Netanyahu and a bunch of goofy rabbis built the temple, would the heathen say, oh, God made Israel holy? Of course not. This temple comes down from heaven. We don't build it. We build the altar, but we don't build this. So it's going to look like it came down from heaven. Well, what's that look like, Marcia? I know as much as you. We're going to have to wait. Well, you could read Ezekiel, 40 to 48. You'll get a rough draft of things, but I don't think we're ever going to be able to understand before we see it what it's going to really look like. Is it going to be emanating light or what? I don't know. If I don't know, the Lord said, don't teach it. I don't know. Is it going to have see-through gold streets? No, I doubt it, because New Jerusalem's better than this, so I don't think so. Okay, I hope everybody's having fun. Let me check the chat and we'll keep going. Let's see, we're not done yet. I got more scriptures. The heathen do drink blood, yeah. Is Zeus real? Oh, that guy's a clown. Something screwed. I got it. All right, I got rid of the people that like to make nasty remarks. You know, all the big channels get them too. I don't believe they're S-bots. I think they're just people that have the life and they do this as a life, you know, or their children. I don't know. All right, we'll keep going. Let's go to Matthew 20, verse 7. This is going to be new to you. Maybe not. I don't know. But I haven't really taught this one before. Matthew 20, verse 7. They say unto him, because no man. I should go up a little higher, I think. Verse 6, Matthew 26. And about the 11th hour, he went out and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, why stand you here all the day? They say unto him, because no man hath hired us. He saith unto them, go you also unto the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall you receive. So he's telling them, go work in the vineyard. So now this is talking about the dry bones. So let me develop it for you, okay? So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard, which is Yeshua, saith, or Jehovah, saith unto his steward, it could be Jehovah, saith, I think it is, it's Jehovah, because there's another parable when it says, and I will send my son, and then they killed my son and steal the inheritance. That's them, you know, the Muslims occupying our land and heathen and all that stuff. Okay. Call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. The last came in later than the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man 1 penny, or whatever the Roman coin was, you know. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny, or maybe it was a drachma, or whatever the coin was. And when they have received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, "These last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and heat of the day." Heat of the day, heat in the pit. Have Lazarus come over here, put his finger to the tip of the water on my tongue because of the flame there. You getting it? This is talking about people that have been in the pit longer than others. But he answered one of them and said, "Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst not thou agree with me for 1 penny? Take that thine is, take what is yours, and go thy way. I will give unto this last, even as unto you, unto thee." So the ones that have been in the pit for a long time are getting the same rewards as those that maybe got there, you know, a week or a month previous, or even a day. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with my own? Who owns Israel? Who owns the universe, the earth? Jehovah. Is thine eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. For many, now this is why you know it's the dry bones. Many be called, but few chosen. Okay. And Yeshua, going up to Jerusalem, took the 12 disciples apart on the way. Okay, so that's how I'm interpreting this parable. That they were in the pit longer, although I don't think they were performing any work, but it was the heat. Now, there might be other ways to apply that parable also, okay? Somebody that had been serving the Lord since 1963 gets redeemed the same time as somebody that came to faith in January 2025, and they're getting the same type of rewards. You know, that you could apply it that way too. Okay? Ephesians 4, verse 8. Wherefore he saith, when he ascendeth up on high, he led captivity captive, and have gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it but that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth? He that descended is the same also that ascended up far above all heavens, that he might fill all things. And he gave some apostles, some prophets. Now, the apostles is changing Moses' law. There were no apostles in Moses' law. And some evangelists, that really wasn't in Moses' law either. and some pastors and teachers. Well, pastors is sort of like the Levites, so it's just sort of a change. For the perfecting of the saints and for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Messiah, till we all come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Messiah, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men. What's that word sleight mean, even though it's Greek? Trickery. The trickery of men and cunning craftiness. Craftiness makes me think witchcraft, but maybe it's a different meaning. Whereby they lie in wait to deceive, but speaking truth in love, but speaking the truth in love may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Christ, from whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, maketh increase of the body into the edifying of itself in love. All right, so we got back up to verse 8. So the Lord ascended up on high, he led captivity captive, and gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it but that he also descended first? Let's check the word for first. Yeah, it seems to mean first. Okay. Now, remember there were the guys hanging on the cross next to Jesus, and to one of them, Yeshua said, you'll be in paradise with me today. Now, what is paradise? It's Abraham's bosom. He would be with Yeshua in Abraham's bosom. Now, Yeshua went and preached to the dead in Sheol, and he then ascended he went to Abraham's bosom, and then from there, Yeshua went to heaven, where Father God Jehovah is. So first the bad place, then he went across the chasm to the good place, and then he went up to heaven. So is it possible that this was after Yeshua rose from the dead, so the conquering was finished, but the punishment of Israel had to take place for 2,000 years for getting the Romans to kill him? They were very complicit in this murder. So now did Yeshua take the people from Abraham's bosom and bring them to heaven? Maybe. But leaving those in the pit still in the pit. because their punishment wouldn't be over until the punishment of all the Israelites on the earth was over. So then what would happen when the Israelites died? Where would they go? The good Israelites in faith, where would they die? Where would they go? Well, they wouldn't go to the pit. They would not go to Abraham's bosom, I suppose. They would go to heaven. So that all might have changed. Remember, Yeshua has the keys to everything, death and all of that. When he died on the crucifixion, you know, that was it. He conquered everything. Okay? I'm reading my notes. When Yeshua was resurrected, you remember reading many graves were open and they came out and they showed themselves to the people in Jerusalem. Could this be the dry bones? Probably not at all. They probably came from the good side. They were probably maybe prophets or, you know, I don't know. I would say they came from the good side. It's not the dry bones, because the dry bones, when the people come back, it's a great army. And there certainly is no great army of those that rose from the dead. It was maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 dozen, or I don't know what it is, but certainly doesn't give anybody the impression that it was a great army. I don't get the impression that they came out of the pit, the bad place. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't get that impression. I'm reading my notes here to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeshua said later on, only those that can go up to heaven are those that came down from heaven. Now, at the very end of everything after the millennium, the last day, Jehovah brings those with him that died in Christ, and I believe he brings them with him coming down from heaven. That's the way the wording would tend to indicate. Okay, and then their graves open, so they apparently reunite with their body, and then they go up to heaven on a cloud. So they seem to get the same type of body that Yeshua had. He went to Thomas and said, I'm not a spirit, touch me. So we don't really understand what kind of a body we get up in heaven. Do we really understand what kind of a body Yeshua had? I don't know, but he went up on a cloud to heaven. So we'll have the same body. When you see him, you shall be like him. So he walked through walls. When you see him, you shall be like him. Do you think we're actually going to fly up to our windows like the doves? Well, it looks that way. Pretty good for it anyway. You see, they go up to heaven because they came down from heaven with Father God Jehovah, and they go up. So they went from the earth to Abraham's bosom, then Yeshua took them up to heaven. He's got the keys to everything, death and life and the whole bit. So yeah, he could do it. Did the ones that when the graves opened and they appeared, um, are they still here? I doubt it. It's like Yeshua came out from the grave and he was brought to life, and that's the same with them and the ones that appeared when Yeshua rose from the dead in Jerusalem. So I don't think they're here. I think they went back up. I think they came down from heaven and got their body and went up. That's what I think. There's a scripture that tells us that Yeshua is the king of the dead, not just the living. Okay? So, he can cover that. Well, let's switch topics a little let's just to talk about it, just maybe in case something does happen, I can feel better that I prepped you that something maybe just might happen. Do I really think for sure? No. Do I think it's possible? Yeah. Beyond saying it's possible I won't go, I don't know. But it's worth talking about. It's brief. Hosea chapter 6 verse 3. Then shall we know if we follow on to know the Lord Jehovah. His going forth is prepared as the morning, and he shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter and former rain unto the land. It doesn't really mean the earth here, it means the land of Israel, Haaretz. So the word for his going forth, we got to break the words down here because you can't trust this. First word here is motzah. Yeah, go forth. Let's go with that. Go forth is prepared as the morning. Well, that word for morning doesn't mean morning. It's shachar. Boka is morning. Boka tov, good morning. Shachar is not morning. It means more like the dawn. What happens at the dawn? The cracking of the light. The light starts coming in. It's the dawn word. Not boka, not the morning. So, as the dawning, now it's starting to come together when I say dawning, D-A-W-N-I-N-G, and he shall come, let's see what that is, come, good translation, unto us as the rain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words for one in Hebrew. There they go again. Gershom. Geshem. Geshem is rain and Shalak is snow. Gershom. So he Gershom, come rain. Well, I guess if you put it into English, you probably got to say something like, come as the rain. I guess, the English is obtuse for the Bible, As the latter, check the words, don't believe them. Malkosh, the latter rain. The latter rain, I think, is around the 7th month. And then it says, former rain, let's check that. Yoreh, the early rain, which should be now, past 3 months. Okay, so latter, so it's saying it's the latter and the early rain unto the land. Okay. Now, these verses are talking about Yeshua appearing. So let me go back to Hosea 1 and 2. Okay. Come and let us return unto Jehovah, for he hath torn and he will heal us. He hath smitten and he will bind us up. After 2 days, 1,000 years is 1,000 years is like a day unto the Lord, and a day like 1,000 years to the Lord. So it's 2,000 years. The punishment of Israel. Will he revive? Oh, chaya. That's the word, chaya. Life, everlasting life. In the third day, that's the millennium, he will raise us up or stand us up, and we shall live in his sight. Well, in the third day, he's in New Jerusalem, and we're there with him. And he's enthroned with the glory God of Israel, and we could walk over to him probably and say hello or talk to him, I suppose, or maybe need an appointment, I don't know. Then I'm sure he's really a nice guy. Don't worry about that. He's so nice you won't believe it. Then shall we know, if we follow on to know Jehovah, his going forth is prepared as the morning, and he shall come to us as the rain. So the dawn is like the cracking of the light. The light comes. Remember, Yeshua said, it's the light now, man could work. Pretty soon the night will come and you can't work. Well, this, when the light comes with the cracking of the dawn, with Yeshua appearing on the right hand of God the Father as the lightning from the east to the west. You getting it now? You're coming together? So that's, I believe, when we're going to get the latter rains and the early rains at the same time when Yeshua appears, because the land is rather dry right now. The people that call the New Year by the crops, I think some of them are going to have to flow into a 14th month or something. I don't know. But that's what's going on. And we haven't had this much lack of rain for 50 years or so. And the Galilee has been full before this dry thing happened, so there's plenty of water around the place up here anyway. So that's how I'm accepting that, or going for that. Now we'll go a little deeper, because something might just happen and I really don't know. So let me make myself clear. This is a maybe possibility, and that's about it. Passover starts on the 14th day of the new year, and the new year began on January 30th last month, using the Gregorian. So I'm wondering if something possibly maybe will happen on Passover. I don't know. It's just worth talking about. I have no idea. Really, I don't know. So this would be February 13th would be Passover this year. But remember, you're not supposed to celebrate Passover when you're out of Israel. That's why they have the second Passover. For those that are traveling, it says the next month they can do the Passover to observe it that way when they're back in Israel. Now, I know a lot of these churchianity messianics, the Jewish churches, hold these celebrations around the world outside of Israel, and you know, you're not supposed to do that outside of Israel, but they do it because they don't care. They raise a lot of money, and, you know, they don't care. So that is what I got today. It's probably a pretty good amount of material to cover. Guess that's what happens when you spend a major portion, many hours a day praying in the Spirit. You get stuff like this. Let me see if we got anything in that live stream, that questions or anything that I can answer. So my email address is israelgiving7@gmail.com, and it's in the chat up towards the top. It's in the description box under the video on the bottom, the lowest line down. And there's church witches running around Israel looking for the barley from America now. These are a bunch of people that believe in the British Israelitism, which Western Europe is Israel. You know, not real heavy-duty nonsense people running around here playing games with the barley. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, these people are, they have the doctrines of a demon, and they literally, they're running around the place, trying to tell people to borrow. They don't want the Israelites to have any role, the Messianics living in Israel. They don't want them to have any people give them money. They want them to leave Israel. They see the Messianics as a threat. Not the Israelites that don't have faith. They want them out of Israel. What's the analogy here? Herod killing all the male children because he knew about Yeshua. They're taking shotgun bursts at Elijah. How's them apples? And Apostle John. If they even know Apostle John's one of the witnesses. They know Elijah is. Eliyahu. So there you have it. That's what they do. So they try to take everything over. These are heathens that are impersonating being believers. And there must be 8 or 10 of them, and they come here from predominantly America, but I believe they come from other countries. They fly in for a few days. They don't like it here. They fly in for a few days. They do their thing on video. It raises a lot of money for them. And the people that are involved in the broad and wide is the road to destruction, and many be that find it, support them. They don't want to support any stinking Jews, even though they go to the church and they, try to follow. But I mean, they don't want to have anything to do with the Jews. The apostles were Jews, the prophets were Jews, the great kings of Israel were Jews, Yeshua was a Jew, but they don't want to have anything to do with the Jews. They're going to wait till they go up to heaven and come down with Yeshua and reign over us with a rod of iron. You stinking Jew, cut that out! Cut that out! Keep hitting you with my rod of iron. You shape up. Yeah. Think I'm kidding? Maybe I'm exaggerating. That's their gospel. 2 Corinthians 11:4. They have another Jesus, they have another gospel, and they receive another spirit. Oh, they come over here all the time. Their leaders bring them here on tours because they don't want them to, any Israelite, a Jewish believer in Israel, to have them for a tour and earn a living. Oh, no. We take everything away from the Jewish believers. We don't want them to have nothing. That's why we called Christian Friends of Israel. We used to call them Christian Friends of Christians in Israel. I'm not picking on them. They did help me once. They did. We just used to say that sarcastically, but no, they did help me once. But before they helped me, they wanted to make sure I was in a Messianic congregation. So there was a guy named Shmuel who just was a preacher, a pastor in one of the Messianic congregations, and then he sort of left. He was in limbo. He was still there as a pastor, but he wasn't doing it anymore, but he was still one of their pastors. So I asked him to verify me to them, and he did. I don't know if that was kosher what I did. It was so many years ago, but then he helped me. Apparently there was a guy from Germany that gave them a lot of money and said to help Messianic Jews. So I told him my story. I needed money to move to get a job. I was getting up in the north, and I was right outside of Jerusalem, so they gave me some money to move. And then the guy told me he had to make an accounting of that money and send it to the guy. So I told him I would actually write the guy if he gave me his email or his address or something. And I did, and the guy wrote me back. He was very happy about the whole thing. So that's, these people wouldn't give me the money if I wasn't in a congregation, see? Then when we were tapped before we moved, where I had a job coming, we found a ministry. It was a guy who was a real character, very funny, friendly guy. He started a ministry. He was a Jewish guy. He was living in Jerusalem. And he started a ministry giving food and groceries and, toothpaste, toilet paper to Jews that needed the money, and he didn't have any messianics that he was giving money to or giving these goods to. So I came in touch with him, and he started giving them to me. Just they were basics, but they were free, and they would deliver it to the house. So we didn't get steak. We got hamburger or ground chicken. We didn't get. We got cheese. Cereal, milk, coffee you could get, tea you could get, toilet paper, paper towels or napkins, toothpaste, soap, I think shampoo, I don't remember, vegetables, eggs, stuff like that. Food was this is 30-some years ago, food was way, way, way cheaper back then, So I'm not slurring the Christian Friends of Israel. I'm just giving you a story what the people living here used to talk about. See, they picked on us as messianics. The Christian Embassy, this is 30-some years ago, gave something like $100,000 to this Orthodox organization that was persecuting the Messianics back then. How could a real believer do that? How? Jewish believers getting persecuted in their own country, and they give them $100,000 gift. So they could stay on the good side of the Orthodox and not get thrown out of Israel, because they had a golden goose laying eggs there with all these people. See, they come to Israel and they don't want to meet Messianic Jews in Israel. They want to be with other non-Jews in Israel that are so-called Christians, because they don't view us as the Bible does, as Jehovah does. They're back to beating us with the rod of iron when they come down from heaven with Christ after they have the wedding feast in heaven. See, this is such fairy tale doctrine, but they believe it. They don't want to have any, they'll be cordial to you. Oh, hello, how's it going, being a believer in Israel, stuff like that. But they don't want much to do with you at all. They come here to see the place, not you. They don't care much about us. They just don't. They don't. No. And they don't want to come here and have much to do with believers. They want to be in, a ministry of, Christians, non-Jews that are here in Israel, and hang out with them and give them money and follow their doctrines and teachings. They don't, they're so twisted and confused as to what's really going to happen. It's very difficult. You see them here, they walk around, they don't really see the people, they see the place, They that's how it is. They frequent the non-Israelite people that are in Israel that are churchianity, and that's who they want to come and visit when they come here. There's an Assembly of God church in Jerusalem that meets in the YMCA for, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 years, 80 years, I don't know. And they all flock into that because it's a good old churchianity, December 25th Tammuz, Jesus, not the real Yeshua. You know, and it's so disgusting. You know, it really is. And then we got Catholic churches here too. From before 1948 that got grandfathered in. And they're even worse. And there's a lot of them running around, and they're terrible. They're super terrible. And they don't want to have anything to do with us at all. I mean, they don't even believe we're real. I mean, they just, you know, if you're not a Catholic, you're lost, you know. It's unreal, guys. It's unreal, you know. Now, there are people that come here that are not born of Israelite lineage, and they're very nice to us. They like us. They do exist, but they're in the minority. But there are a lot of them, though. They're not rare. I mean, they're not. Yeah, then actually, you could say they're not that rare because most of these churchianity people don't even bother coming to Israel. So, yeah, they're you know, we've had them stay in our guest house years past, and they're very nice. You know, what they actually believe, I don't know. You know, I tried dropping doctrinal hints a few times with them. They're clueless. They don't know what's going on. You know, but that doesn't mean they're that bad. I don't know. Anyway, please pray for me and my wife Rivka. Checking my teeth. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. So far, my wife's happy with her 2 fillings. That's good. Thank you for the prayers. So pray for our peace, safety, protection, and blessing and healing. Pray for our finances. Pray for our animals and pets that are all rescues to be happy, healthy, and whole. Pray for better videos. Should I ask you to pray that I'm able to pray more in the Spirit? I don't know if I should. Maybe. Pray if God thinks it's good that I pray more in the Spirit. I pray a lot in the Spirit now, but sometimes I forget and I start doing other things like eating, you know, getting food or cleaning or doing chores, bringing firewood in or something, you know. I don't know. Anyway. So, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and you know, we could ask the Lord if there's anything coming up on this Passover. I don't know. I just thought it was worth bringing out. I don't know. You know, there's a lot of things I don't know. I tell you, some stuff I know and a lot of So I send my Shabbat Shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. I hope you got something out of this today and enjoyed it. And remember, you're always free to write me, and I love hearing people give me feedback as to, you know, the teachings. And you could hit the thumbs up button if you like. It helps. And I'm out. Thank you.